Okay. The origins of Jinn, from evil spirits to Genie, exploring Middle Eastern folklore. Yeah, I'm curious on the Jinn. I'm curious on that because all I know is the Genie from Aladdin. That's really it. And well, I've heard the Jinn used a few times, but yeah, let's just check it out for today.
Most of us are familiar with the term Genie. It's a pretty simple concept. You find a magical lamp, you rub said lamp, and then a weird cryptic spirit comes out and tells you they will grant you 3 wishes. Sounds too good to be true, and that's because it is. Most of the time you'll either end up dead or in a worse situation than before. Modern day Genie can be rather unhelpful and outright strange characters, but even they pale in comparison to the original stories and legends. The westernized term Genie comes from the Arabic word Jinn.
Penguins dictates everything in this channel. Man can't even have a choice. No, that's exactly how it works. That's exactly how it works. Every married man knows that they need to justifiably fear their wife. In order to have a happy, loving future and relationship, you need to fear your wife. And the penguin, she dictates everything. Whether good or bad, she dictates everything. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Every now and then we'll have the penguin come and join us. Sometimes, but not always. Every now and then. Every now and then. Especially when the videos are very, very like, oh, she needs to... What was the last one? I think it was the tender in India. Oh my gosh.
Ancient spirits and demons who bring a whole new meaning to the phrase, be careful what you wish for. Today's video has been made possible by Audible. I enjoy reading.
Do I have a magic lamp? Okay. I was going to make a joke there, but I'm not going to. I was going to say you are my magic lamp, my wife. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. My wife is magic. She's honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. That's why you have to be careful with the wishes, because there's like the monkey paw aspect where they'll grant your wish, but they'll also find a way to snub you. Wives are like that, right? They'll give you everything you want, but at the same time they'll find a way to snub you for it. But I love my wife. She loves me, and she knows I'm teasing. But at the same time, what's funny is I said it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. It makes sense while I'm talking about it, because they always find an underhanded way to compliment you. They find an underhanded way to, you know, it's just enjoyable. I love you. Okay.
As much as the next person. But most of the time, I just want to sit back, relax, and have someone else immerse me in a story, which I imagine is why many of you watch and
Why'd I
listen
even
to
pause
this
there?
channel. Audible gives me the flexibility to pop in my earphones and listen to whatever.
I do like Audible, though. I am a fan of it. When I'm at work, it's one of those things I can actually put on the background and keep working without having to worry about anything. You just listen to a book. It's funny. Here I'm doing a promotion for them, and I don't even, I'm not even getting paid for it. But I do like Audible. I really do. It's one of those things that I guess you can get it free, though, on other platforms. So why would you pay? I don't know. But yeah, Penguin dictates everything. She absolutely does. But there's nothing wrong with that. And she's playing with the little one right now. And he's destroying everything. He's destroying everything. Oh, okay. Here we go.
With their special holiday offer, your first 6 months will only cost you $4.95 a month, as opposed to the regular price of $7.95. You can join today by visiting audible.com/mythology-and-fiction. That's audible.com/mythology-and-fiction. Or you can text mythology and fiction to 500-500. So don't miss out. Download Audible today. Legends of Jinn are most commonly associated with Islamic myth and stories even older in the Arabian Peninsula. However, entities similar to the Jinn appear all throughout the world. In Islamic tradition, the term Jinn
He talks so freaking slow.
is used as a collective to refer to any group of supernatural creatures. It can also be used to refer to a specific creature. For example, you may have a piece of work about a Jinn, or you may have a group of miscellaneous demons and spirits that are referred to as Jinn or Jinn communities. Like demons, they can be evil, but in some stories, Jinn are benevolent. They are summoned and bound by a sorcerer, not too different from the stories of Genie. Before Islamic belief,
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at it, there was like a genie in Aladdin, the blue genie. He was just a good genie who just wanted his freedom, and he would always willingly do. And then you had Jafar, who was, well, wished to become a genie, and he became a bad genie. So it's the same thing. Jinn community sounds weirdly homosexual. To me, it sounds like a group of sophisticated guys who just like to go around and drink gin. A gin community. They sit around, they drink, and then they just talk about, I don't know, trying to think of something sophisticated to talk about. Stocks. They talk about stocks. I thought about my brother. That was like sophisticated. Oh, stocks and bonds.
A group of Middle Eastern scholars described the Jinn as evil spirits who reside in the desert and unclean places. They would disguise themselves to passers-by as animals. Others believe the Jinn were closer to deities, and as a result, they were worshipped. When Islam became the religion of choice, these deities may have been perceived as having pagan influences, and thus they played a much smaller role in everyday life. Despite once being seen as deities, they were never considered immortal or invincible. There are notions of armed men being able to kill a Jinn. They are, however, mostly just theories, as Jinn could not only shapeshift but also turn invisible, so good luck trying to kill something you can't even see. Jinn were also considered the spreaders of disease and mental illness. They could possess one's mind and body.
So my guess is there's one free in the United States and probably in most big cities. That makes sense. That makes sense, because there's a lot of brain rot in those big cities where people don't seem to understand, well, common sense.
As we move into scripture, the overall stature of the Jinn changes. In the story of Solomon, Jinn were spirits of nature, similar to the previous pagan deities. Solomon was gifted the power to talk to animals and spirits, and thus he was able to rein in the unruly Jinn and command them to help build the first temple in ancient Jerusalem. In the Quran itself, the Jinn are mentioned a grand total of 29 times. Most of this occurs in the 72nd chapter, titled Al-Jinn, or the Jinn. In order to maintain the notion of there being only one true God, the Jinn shift from deities to lesser spirits, who in terms of hierarchy in relation to God are...
Mamdani? No. Mamdani. I always mispronounce his name, but I also do that with Melania? Melania Trump? I always mess up those names. I think it's the M's. But yeah, Mamdani. I don't think it's him. I think the Jinn was there. Well, how long has he been in New York? But there's one in almost every single major city. In every single major metropolitan city in the US, there is one of these there. There has got to be one of these there. Just in the city. Just taking away people's brains or their ability to think. A socialist Jinn.
roughly level with humans, meaning they are subject to his judgment in death. They exist somewhere in between our realm and the spectral realm. In one hadith, the Jinn are divided into three distinct groups. Jinn who fly through the air.
Of Jinn.
Jinn who could take the shape of dogs and snakes.
That's what I'm checking.
And Jinn who travel in the same way as humans. Scholars have interpreted the Quran's use of Jinn to mean one of two things: an entity or being that exists in a plane invisible to humans. Therefore, we can categorize angels and demons as Jinn, but not every Jinn is an angel
and ghosts. It's a separate plane.
Or demon. You then have a description that paints them in a light similar to humans. Jinn were created from a smokeless fire and inhabited the earth before Adam and the first humans. They were faster and stronger, but they still lived like humans in many ways. They still had to eat, sleep, and drink, and when they died, they would be sent to heaven or hell, depending on their actions. They were also divided into separate tribes, with each one being created
in the multiverse
from a
of
mixture
madness.
of fire.
I never saw that
between
one.
Light and dark, angelic and demonic Jinn occurred quite often. It even became common to explain violent storms as warring tribes of Jinn. Invisible to the human eye, these storms represented the chaos and aftermath of these battles. This conflict can also be explained by taking a look at another traditional story, which tells us why the Jinn may have disappeared. The angels were created on Wednesday, the Jinn on a Thursday, and 1,000 years later humans on a Friday. These three races coexisted peacefully, until corruption, violence, and greed overcame the Jinn. The warnings of God were ignored, and he was given no choice but to send the angels to purge the Jinn. Most of them subsequently died, and the few Jinn that did survive were exiled from Earth. These traditions involving jinn spread across more than just Arabia, reaching Turkey, North Africa, and even the Balkans. In Morocco, exorcisms were performed for those who were thought to be possessed by a jinn. However, they couldn't just possess anyone. They would target people whom they considered vulnerable, often referred to as a tired soul, someone who was unhappy, mentally unstable, or just depressed. Hence,
Or maybe someone who's more susceptible to the sort of a supernatural. That is normally the case. Like those who are more susceptible or believe in the supernatural are more likely to fall victim to it. Statistically, that's just they're more, their minds are more open to accepting an entity to manipulate and take over them because their minds are more open to it. When it's someone like me, it's literally like them hitting their heads against a brick wall. There's no door there for them to open. Some people, it's more like creeping in through a window. Some people, it's literally a massive door. Some people, it's a garage that's left open. And honestly, if my wife ever went to a haunted place, we would not be leaving together. I'd be leaving with whatever took over her body. He didn't rip it, did he? Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
the association with jinn and mental illness. Another widespread belief is that the jinn live underground, where they plot and scheme against humanity. They surface only to spread illness and cause harm to those who mistreat others. This extends to possession and kidnapping children. In this case, the jinn exist as a moral lesson or reminder. So how did we go from jinn to genie? The most obvious example being the genie in Disney's Aladdin, who is far from an evil spirit. This and many other tales are inspired by the Arabic text 1001 Nights, a collection of Middle Eastern folk tales from the 8th to the 14th century. For many of these tales, their source of origin is unknown, but there are numerous influences from Arabic, Persian, and Greek to Indian, Turkish, and Chinese, so it's an amalgamation of cultures from basically everywhere. In English, it's also commonly referred to as the Arabian Nights. Here, the jinn make an appearance in a number of different stories, the most noticeable being Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp. In this story, Aladdin isn't too different from the Disney variation, a young, mischievous, misguided lad who is found in the streets of a Chinese city by a sorcerer, who claims to be the brother of Aladdin's father, so his long-lost uncle. And no, before you ask, this man is not called Jafar. He claims to be Mustafa the tailor. He convinces Aladdin and his mother that he only wants to help them, but first he needs a favor, of course. Inside of a cave, there is the most wonderful oil lamp in all the land. If Aladdin is able to retrieve it, he promises they will never be poor again. The cave, however, is magically booby-trapped and dangerous enough that Mustafa himself would never dare to enter, but he does give Aladdin a magical ring for protection. Once inside, to no one's surprise, Mustafa double-crosses Aladdin and leaves him trapped inside the cave. In despair of his situation, Aladdin begins to rub his hands. In doing so, he accidentally rubs the ring, and to his surprise, out pops a jinn, or genie. Aladdin returns home to his mother with a magical ring, a jinn, and a wonderful lamp. His mother decides maybe they should sell the lamp in order to afford food, and as she begins wiping it down, out pops a second jinn, much more powerful than the first. With help from this jinn, Aladdin becomes extremely rich and marries the Sultan.
As an Indian, we don't have jinn in our scriptures. Well, that's good. That's good. You don't need any evil spirits. In Islam, jinn are not considered supernatural in the sense of being outside of God's creation, but rather as part of the unseen creation. But the thing is, like, I've always seen supernatural as technically everything falls under the same category of God's creation, just like spirits that haven't let go kind of thing. But I guess that's outside of the I don't know.
Daughter. Hearing of Aladdin's meteoric rise,
Yeah, I haven't gotten all the way to Ikai Chapter 5. I still need to see 2. I'll probably spend one day just watching them all.
Mustafa makes his return, knowing only the lamp could have caused this much good fortune. He tricks Aladdin's wife into giving him the lamp, and his first command, or wish, is to take the palace and everything inside of it back to his home. When Aladdin returns, he does the only thing he can. He summons the first genie from the ring. He tells Aladdin that he cannot undo the magic of the second jinn, but he can send him to the palace. Once there, he kills Mustafa and returns his palace to its rightful place.
I'll get to it.
This isn't how the story ends, though. Mustafa's older brother vows to avenge his death. He transforms himself into an...
I'm not gonna lie. Penguin was telling me to watch it today, but I'm like, no, I'll check it out later. And now I'm regretting not watching it today. She's always right. In the end, she's always right. Everyone tell her she's always right.
elderly woman and earns his way inside of Aladdin's palace by convincing his wife he has magical powers. The jinn in the lamp, however, sees through this disguise and alerts Aladdin of the imposter, who is then killed. Now we get the happy ending, where Aladdin eventually becomes soul.
Hinduism have ashras and danavas. Well, jinn aren't well, I guess they fall under both, but at the same time, that yeah, they're just spirits. They're spirits with the ability to curse and grant.
And lives a happy, evil sorcerer-free life. When it comes to modern fiction, Jinn and Genie have been interpreted in a variety of ways. Some are indeed lesser gods, and others are magical entities summoned through the use of dark magic and witchcraft. One trope that has certainly stuck is being
All
granted
hell
3
penguin
wishes when you
supreme
summon
and
a genie.
unquestioned.
Now these
Yes.
wishes have a habit
Yes.
of going sideways, and I'm sure fans of the Wishmaster franchise will be more than familiar with a tricky Jinn. The Jinn have appeared in stories for thousands of years, and it's always interesting to see ideas from different cultures merge together and create new stories. Whether it's a race of invisible spirits at war, entities that live underground and punish humans, a boy and his magical lamp, or just classic Robin Williams, you can't really go wrong with a story of a Jinn. Unless you're the one making the 3 wishes. Because in that case, I wish you the best of luck. As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction Explained.
Oh, he talked slow. He talked really slow. I kept fast forwarding it throughout. Oh, if I could go back in time in any region in the world, it would be Middle East. Gosh, I'm curious. What would I want to see? What would I want to see? What is one of those things? Would you be alive back in time? Yeah. Yeah. It's just like one of those things that's just like, oh, that's an interesting thought provoking. Of course, I'd still I'd still want to be because depending on what time of history, I'd still want to be my skin tone. Because if I go back to the US a few years ago, just like well, heck, just 200 years ago when the US was founded, like just 150 years ago, let's say if my skin tone changed, I wouldn't be as well off. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is an interesting thought though. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's so many things. Like, that's one thing I always say is just like for through history, there was no one for one. Like now that we actually have recordings and visual evidence and like paper proofs of things, but like back in the day, like the Indus Valley, there's like all these how was that that temple that's carved out of stone. There's so many things throughout history, like the Mayan temples, the Stonehenge, like seeing all this stuff, how it got, how their minds came about to create those kinds of things. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. I would love to learn that kind of stuff. I would absolutely love to learn that kind of stuff. What's your spirit animal? Tortoise. My wife said it before I even got it out. What would be under the desert in the Middle East? It would be darn insane. I think it's oil. I'm pretty sure it's oil. Bro, do you know God in Hinduism becomes demon in Persian religion? That's strange. I didn't know that. Yeah, true. The Vedic Hinduism are sister religions. Oh, okay. 200 years ago with pearly white teeth. Yes, like, and not wood teeth, like the first president of the United States. Wood teeth. Ever thought of knowing all kingdoms of Silk Road, like knowing the root of kingdoms that were influenced by that route? I think it'd be cool to know. Yeah, there's so many things, but that's the thing, it's like throughout history, everything's like how people argue over the Aryan aliens and how they got to India and where its origins lie. I'm saying aliens, of course, because there were so many people arguing over who is Aryan. I don't care. It means nothing to me. But at the same time, it's just like, it's fascinating how so many people have so many things, but we will never truly know one for one. We can figure it out. We can kind of do reverse analyze things and figure out how everything's gotten to this point, but we will never truly know. We can just think about it. Be drunk. Let's be drunk. Care about wife. Yes, care about wife. That's exactly what it's what's important. Yeah. But that was the last video. That was the last video.
bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait, wait like that.